Channel Africa will be hosting the first ever Africa Matters Summit on the 25th of March in Johannesburg, South Africa. And the aim of the summit is to engage and find solutions on critical issues of development on the African continent. This year's focus is on climate change, financing Africa's recovery. We're now joined by one of the panellists, Eliezer Goma, who's the CEO of Chedza Enviro Planning Solutions. And he's going to highlight his personal journey, the company's impact, practical solutions, and the broader importance of participating in the Africa Matters Summit. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Peter. I'm very glad to be here this morning.
Eliezer, perhaps you can start by telling us what inspired you to want to participate as a panelist at the Africa Matters Summit.
Well, thank you. As soon as I saw the post and I found out about the event, I thought myself that it's going to be a great platform for young professionals to be able to really empower others. You know, what motivates me really is the fact that our continent is very young, and young people are also awakening, taking key positions in the industries, different industries. And that for me is important because young people collaborate much easier. So we need platform the likes of Africa Matters to come together and to be able to exchange our visions and goals. So I stand myself as a town planner between, or the intersection between urban development, ever rapid development that we're looking at in many cities of Africa, and also environmental challenges, climate resilience. So we look at issues of flooding, like we saw recently in South Africa and many other cities of Africa, the issue of water pollution and plan urbanization with many informal settlements. How do we come together as professionals and bring new solutions that will help our people to feel better in the urban spaces? So that's really where I am. And as a young CEO, I want to impact on policy making, on practitioners, on bringing up those ideas.
So your organization works pretty closely with communities on environmental planning and climate risk management. What does climate change actually look like on the ground in the communities that you're working in?
Yeah, so our recent work involved us working with Alexandra Water Warriors, a team of about 2,000 people coming together to clean the Jasky River. And this is an unprecedented movement in the continent when they come together, and they've been featured, Alexandra Water Warriors, in many magazines overseas. People are really appreciating what is happening. And we come as a technical partner to do what we call environmental impact assessment on the river, and also take some data to be able to promote and find finances. I think we'll talk about it later for these projects. So what is happening now is an awakening of young people, an awakening of the population, realizing that every year they go through the same struggle. The water will rise and people will die, and the river will get more and more dirtier, and all these things make their daily life more and more difficult, despite all the needs that is coming from the state, from other NPOs. So us as a Chedza Enviro Planning Solution, we bring this expertise that we've acquired through academic to really promote, but also write it down, keep all those changes that we're observing. So sustainability becomes then a key concept that we try to implement on the ground. And really what we see is the support of people, the community coming together through campaign, through workshop, learning about the environment and learning how to improve daily the river, but also the trees and everything that form part of the atmosphere there.
So, one of the big themes of the Africa Summit is climate finance. And for many Africans, this sounds like a pretty complex technical concept. Simply put, though, what is climate finance and why does it matter for Africa?
Yeah, climate finance is pretty much the funds that are available for climate actions, the fight against climate change, which today can never be denied again. I mean, we've seen it over the years in many countries, and it is a reality. And when the countries of the world come together, like in the COP summit, some of the actions that are taken are being backed up by finances. So there are a number of organizations that's put some finance in place to be able to be used as a tool to implement those solutions. So it can seem complex because really there are very small organizations that are involved in the climate change fight against climate change in the world. But in reality, it is quite simple when you do know where to go and how to access this funding. I'm, for instance, myself a judge for the Commonwealth, and I know that there are also funds available there. So the key things is to have the information and to also go pursue these finance opportunities. And then not only at the international level, you do have municipal programs as well, environmental grant by the government that are available for organization. And it's very important for young people to know about it, not only young, but all those that are involved in climate change, and to be able to take actions and really profit about those climate change finances.
I think you've partly answered my next question, actually, and it's really about accessing this finance and these funds. What do you see has been some of the barriers preventing us from accessing these badly needed funds?
Yeah, I think the very first thing will be collaboration, very limited collaboration among stakeholders. And that, I mean, I won't give you the reason why, because I also don't know. Probably maybe just a lack of opportunities. That's why we are very impressed and happy about the upcoming conference on African matters, so that we can come together, both leaders of the industries, policymakers, community actors. Everybody should come together, and we really need to have that, exchange of not only experience but information as well, knowledge sharing, and I think that will be one of the barriers that will uplift the quality or the access to this funding, but also scaling. I think what we've noticed is that there are very limited actions that are taken. I mean, it's very at a lower level. Just taking, for instance, the issue of food resilience, food security, that we are also engaged in, especially in urban spaces. What we've noticed is that there's some initiatives that we support as rooftop farming that are really limited in terms of funding, while there is international fund available for these rooftop farming to be able to have some, food within the urban space, and that we don't have to take it from very far, which the food will expire and all of that. So these initiatives are there. They are very small and they are scattered. So ideally, we would love more of these initiatives to be together, to be in partnership with many different stakeholders, and that will definitively unlock the potential of accessing those climate funds.
So, beyond governments and international donors, what role do you think that African business, entrepreneurs, and local innovators can play in financing climate adaptation and green solutions?
Yeah, I think beyond just those funds, it is important for professionals to really, not repeating myself, come together, but also promote new style, new ideas. I think innovation is very critical. We should not just look at what is happening in other part of the world, in other continent. We should really, as African, come and realize and come together and decide what is good for us. We don't have to import solutions, and platforms are key then to come and discuss on how do we innovate in terms of those solutions that we are proposing or that we are promoting within our continent. So this is where project design and also monitoring is very, very important, and platform for showcasing those are also very, very important. So I would say that we need to come more together, but to also promote innovation as companies, as businesses, to really promote innovative solutions toward climate change and resilience.
You're part of a younger generation of African leaders working in this space of environmental sustainability. How important is it to have youth leadership right there at the forefront in shaping Africa's response to climate change?
It is critical. It is very important. You know, young people represent, I think, over 70% of the population in Africa in the future days. So it is important for young professionals to really be upfront, because the older generation, they've tried their best, but they probably haven't also come to the realization of the climate change today, which is our responsibility, because we live in it and we encounter what the climate has become and how the world is changing. So I think in many African cities, young people really need to stand and take responsibility, because no one else will do it if we do not. I think we've seen many billionaires coming from the Americas, especially, to come through the WFF, for instance, and pour funds to support the keeping of the forest in African Basin of Congo, and also to promote some of the park, keeping the wild animals in many of our places. But this remains, initiatives from the outside African people. Those are people that comes to realize that they have contributed to the destruction of our environment, and they want to bring back. But what do we as young people do then when we come to realize that? Do we just applaud and say, good, bring more funds? Or do we take do we become custodians of these funds and really implement solutions that will take our continent not only in the protection phase toward the environment, but also in the growth phase? Because we should not also deny the fact that we're lagging behind in many things. So there need to be key entrepreneurs that look at both development and preservation. And this is a difficult things to do, to be honest with you. So we really need to come together and bring those ideas that will help us to do both at the same time.
All right, we're running out of time, so perhaps if you could answer this final question briefly. What are you hoping will come out of the Africa Matters Summit? What message would you like perhaps policymakers and African leaders to take away from this gathering?
Yeah, at this gathering, my expectations are pretty high, and I think that Platform Africa Matters is a valuable tool for all of us. So ideas, policymakers, and I really hope that there will be a real interaction. We've come to summit and we do talk, and there's often no follow-ups. So what are we really pledged to Channel Africa and all the partners that are involved in the Africa Matters is really to go beyond the simple event, but to ensure that there's a continuity toward action of all the deliverable that will be on that summit. Thank you.
Eliezer Goma, CEO of Chedza Enviro Planning Solutions. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, and I look forward to meeting you on the 25th.
Thank you, Peter.
And that's where we'll leave that. Don't forget, Africa Matters Summit taking place on the 25th in Johannesburg. But you can believe if you're in another part of the continent, out of town, you can also follow this online as well. We'll give you the details closer to the time. It's 8:30. It's time for your news headlines. Good morning, Onele Nzinzi.